Welcome into the Bruce Arians Show. Casey Phillips here with head coach Bruce Arians. And first of all, Coach, congratulations. First time in franchise history, the team starts 6-1. And I have to ask, what do you credit this to? And what does a start like this mean to you guys as a team?
Yeah, it's everything we were hoping for. When you go back to May and mini camps and training camp, and you'd like to get off to that kind of start. But it's really just one step. It's a long, long way to go. A lot of credit goes to Jason and the roster he's built, and John Spytek and those guys for bringing players in, and an excellent job by the coaching staff of bringing a guy in on Tuesday, playing him on Sunday. That's hard, and especially at defensive back. Yeah,
and we'll talk about some of those guys that, the quote off the street guys that end up playing some pretty big roles. But I did want to ask, I know every coach, every team, every player has said the phrase next man up about 1,000 times in their career. But there's one thing to say that and know that that's what has to happen, but that does not always work out well. The next man up doesn't always answer the call. Mm-hmm. So what has made this team the team where it actually does work that way?
Yeah, I think a lot of it is coaching. I think Todd's done a great job defensively of putting those guys in positions where they can be successful and still not be vanilla. Same thing. Offensively, knock on wood, we've been pretty lucky. We lose a receiver, Scotty or AB, we've got young guys ready to roll. So that part of it is a lot harder. I've been where we lost all our tackles. Chicago, for instance, the COVID hit their tackles. They were playing with guys, and it showed in the game quick. Offensive DBs, you can get out there. Offensive linemen, not so fast.
Not so much, yeah. And you guys were up 35-3 at halftime. Largest halftime margin in the NFL this season. Second biggest halftime lead in Bucs history. And 35 first half points ties the team record for the most points in a half. What happened in that first half to get to that point?
Oh, gosh, yeah, all those turnovers.
Yeah.
We had short fields. We didn't have that many yards, but we had a lot of points. And, defensively, we just kept taking the ball away and doing a great job of interceptions, sack fumbles, and getting off on third down. And, again, Jalen Darden shows up with a big punt return. So we had great field position, and we were turning them into touchdowns.
I know against the Eagles, you guys jumped out to the big lead, but then you let them back in. So I'm imagining for you, the big lead wasn't as important as keeping the big lead. Mm-hmm. And what do you think happened from that last game to this game to where you weren't going to let this team creep back in?
Yeah, defensively, I think we've grown a bunch. And, offensively, we let them back in. We quit scoring down there when it was easy. And defensively, they just weren't going to give up any yards.
Yeah, what does it mean to know that you feel like you still left points on the board, even though you scored 38 points?
Yeah, that was the disappointing part. The whole second half, the first drive, we came out with no huddle, thought we had to get them tired, and we mess up a 3rd and 2, get down there on the goal line twice, and don't score. So, yeah, it was a 50-point game that we left out there. So there's always room for improvement. That's the nice thing. And you can come back in and you look at the tape and say, wow, we had this. But defensively, that was a great effort.
And I feel like there's got to be a point when we run out of records for Brady to hit. I just keep thinking this has to be all of them. But then now, 600th career touchdown, first quarterback to hit that mark. Had you known that was coming, and when did you find out about that stat?
Yeah, I thought it was going to happen in this ball game. I just you never know when it's going to happen, so you get caught up in the game. Oh yeah, that happened. But yeah, it was. For him to break records, they're going to be his own records from now on out.
Yeah, that's so true. And did you know in the moment about the ball drama? Because that became, especially in a game that's that big of a blowout, people needed some drama in the game.
Yeah, I didn't know that was the one. I saw Mike give the ball away, then they announced it. I went, oh, Mike, that's going to be costly, brother.
That's amazing. Are there any iconic things like that you've kept in your career or wanted to keep? Are you a guy that wants a football, wants a thing like that?
Yeah, there's some game balls that mean a whole lot more than others, But yeah, I still have one from high school and somewhere it's at the lake somewhere. But yeah, I didn't have very many.
You weren't like Brady, where he's like, I don't even care anymore. Yeah. We got too many of these. And speaking of Mike, first player in team history with multiple games with 3 or more receiving touchdowns, and now he's done it twice. 15 multi-touchdown games since coming in the league, second only to Antonio Brown in that stretch. Why is he able to find the end zone so consistently?
Yeah, he's such a great target down there. He's big, and he's got great hands. He's physical. 3 of his touchdowns were all against double coverage, and he just beat the coverage. And Tom made some great throws. The fade ball. It was a one-handed catch that was double coverage in and out, and he beat the guy anyway. So he's just an amazing player.
It feels like once a guy like Mike gets a play like that it's this big, incredible catch and all the way down there, almost the touchdown, that it almost feels like Brady's like, don't worry, I got you.
Yeah.
Like, does that seem to be kind of his mantra there?
I'll get it back for you.
Yeah, like that. Well, and then of course Mike gives the ball away. He's like, what are you doing, man? You're not helping me here. And then Chris Godwin, 111 yards, he got a 34-yarder and a touchdown. Just some of those big chunk plays seem like they've been working so well to him. What did you see from his game and some of those big yardage plays especially?
Yeah, we couldn't get him his touchdown when he got stuck on the half-yard line.
Trying.
But, no, he's just amazing. He's, again, a tremendously talented player, but nobody works any harder than Chris at his craft, every day in practice. But he does all the dirty, grimy work, so you love to see him get those touchdowns.
Yeah, and when we knew there wasn't going to be an Antonio Brown appearance, sometimes that means that other guys are needing to step up for it. This team, it felt like Chris and Mike just ended up stepping up a little bit more. Is that kind of how it felt to you out there? How did you guys plan on filling that AB gap?
Yeah, I thought Tyler was going to have a little bit bigger role in this one, and for whatever reason, they went towards him and opened up Mike and Chris, but OJ keeps doing really well, so it's a nice thing to have, and then the running game was just unbelievable in this one.
Yeah, that was actually my next question. Fournette, 81 yards, Rojo, 63, and I got to imagine that's music to your ears that you're getting that many yards from multiple backs.
Oh, there's no doubt, yeah, and like I said earlier, there's no way we're trading Rojo. He's too valuable of a player, and man, he was running great in this one.
I know that goal line stand was probably one of the, some of those points you talked about leaving on the board. What do you feel like you guys learned from that possession and those stops?
Yes, just come off with better coordination, not letting leakage come in and get us in the backfield. And both those plays down there, we let too much leakage happen at the point of attack.
And whenever you do have such a big lead, how do you start making those decisions on if or when to rest starters, who you want to rest, all of those kind of factors? Yeah, we talked about early in the fourth quarter when they had the ball, had they taken time off the clock and not scored, we'd do all our substitution. If they scored, no. And because no lead's ever safe in this league. I've seen it happen way too many times. Yeah, that's so true. And how did you decide who the guys were that is the most valuable to rest at certain points? Yeah, we tried to get them all out of there, but we got the ball like on the 2-yard line, so we didn't really want to change centers. So we got everybody out, got the ball up to midfield, got everybody out of there. Couldn't change centers in the middle of a drive, so that was the only one. I liked to gotten Ryan out of there, but I didn't want to put Hainsey in a net position. Yeah, that's asking a lot. All right, well, we still have plenty more coming up here on the Bruce Arians Show, so don't go anywhere. Welcome back into the Bruce Arians Show. Casey Phillips here with head coach Bruce Arians. And we were talking about not trying to pull out of your start, especially offensive linemen. I have to imagine that O-line performance overall was something that you were very happy with. And, facing guys like Khalil Mack, that's no small task. The Bears defense had been incredible coming into this game. We're missing a few pieces that are very important. But how did you feel the O-line played overall? Oh, I thought they were fantastic. When you run the ball for that many yards and that many successful runs, the run efficiency was outstanding. So other than the glitches on the goal line, it was a marvelous night by the offensive line. Great protection. And how much growth have you seen? It was kind of an easy game to pinpoint for penalties because it's so funny how Chicago was the team last year that was the turning point of the penalties, and it looks like maybe that could even be the case this year. Why is Chicago the team? Well, I think there was a lot of memories. Yeah. There was a lot of PTSD. There was a lot of reminders during the week by the coaches, and it's time. It's time to put that to bed. And I thought our guys did a great job of keeping their techniques. Offense, defense, and special teams did a really good job of using good fundamentals and not getting caught with penalties. Yeah, and did it feel like the kind of shift that could be permanent, that it wasn't just this one game of playing clean? Yeah, I think once you start a clean game like this and you can start building on it, it'll happen. And you mentioned earlier Jalen Darden getting in there, his first shot at returning kicks this year. And man, he just came out with a bang, 43-yard return. What was that like to get to watch him? And why was this the time that you felt like made sense to put him in that position?
Yeah, he's ready. You watch young guys perform in practice and keep moving, going forward. And, Jaden Mickens had done a good job. I just thought Jalen is just so much more explosive, and he gives us some stuff in offense on returns and gimmick plays that he could start his role now and expand it. And I think the next time he breaks one, nobody's going to catch him. But this time he was breathing real hard.
Yeah. Didn't have quite those game legs under him. Yeah, the practice legs are a little bit different. I also saw you guys used him on an end around, got a gain of 11 there, and we've talked about that. He's got a lot of people ahead of him in the wide receiver room, but what made you want to try to be able to use him offensively in addition to just the return game? Yeah,
he's so explosive, and he ran a great route and just missed him. Blaine just missed him on that one big third down, but he's got special quickness and explosiveness that it's very rare.
And then I know Keyshawn Vaughn, another guy, got his first snaps. It's the nice thing about having that lead. You get some of the young guys in there. What did you see from his running performance?
Oh, I mean, he's got great vision. He might have the best vision of all our backs and picking and sliding and making things happen. And every time he gets his opportunity, he does a heck of a job with it.
All right, well, we still have more coming up here on the Bruce Arians Show, looking back at that win over the Bears and looking ahead to the next week's game against the Saints. We'll be right back. Welcome back into the Bruce Arians Show. Casey Phillips here with head coach Bruce Arians. We've talked a lot about the offense, a little special teams. Now let's get into that defense. Man, 5 takeaways. That is most in a home game for years and years, most in any game since 2017. What led to that explosion of takeaways in this game, you think?
Yeah, I thought we had a great blitz package. And early in the game, Antoine came free and hit it. And they got the ball back, but I think that set the tempo. And then JPP just had a heck of a ball game, and we had pressure from everywhere. And then when you get pressure on a young quarterback, he's going to start throwing it a little bit early. And that led to a couple interceptions. But again, pressure was the key to the whole thing.
Yeah, I mean, the sacks were just starting to pile up there, too. And one of the beginning ones, you got a strip sack by Antoine Winfield Jr., and you guys didn't end up recovering it. So theoretically, you were so close to even 6 turnovers there. But after missing him for a bit and watching him come out and make such a big impact splash play that early, how nice was that to see? And what is it about him that can make that big of an impact after missing some time?
Yeah, he's an excellent blitzer, and he's a heck of a safety. He can do it all for us. I thought he was going to have an interception, and he kind of peaked at the receiver instead of just go ahead and selling out. But he's a hell of a player, and we missed him when he was not in there.
Yeah, and take us through that play a little bit of what worked so well for him on that. And we hear about some other guys getting, especially the strip sacks, but for a safety to get it, to explain a little bit of how impressive that is.
Yeah, I mean, we did a great job of disguising who was blitzing. And they thought we were coming from the other side. He came clean. And when you come clean on the backside of the quarterback, you go for that high shoulder, which is his throwing hand, and he did a great job of it.
And the guy who is just always so incredible at the strip sack, Shaq Barrett, I mean, this guy, he now has 10 strip sacks since 2019, which is the most in the NFL in that time span. So why is he so successful at not just getting there, but getting the ball out?
Yeah, that's a special skill. And I think watching Von Miller when he was at Denver, who was great at it, and he stole how to do it. And that's, you really learn from great players. And he turned into one now because he's just got great timing and those really quick hands when he sees the ball go back, cocked and ready to throw, he gets it out there, and you got to have good strength for that also.
Yeah, and I imagine that it is so nice to know that you have guys like that teaching Joe Tryon-Shoyinka, because like you said, you can learn so much from those players that as much as you coaches can say things, sometimes watching those other players can be more important. So what are the things that you've seen that both Shaq and JPP have been conveying to Tryon, or what he's picked up from them maybe?
Well, one thing is you're never hurt. That's what JPP teaches.
Yes.
And there's a certain pain level that you can play with in this game.
Yeah, I can't get upset at stubbing a toe anymore. Now, JPP has taught me that there's nothing.
It's totally different. And then, when you Shaq, and they do a great job of teaching and talking to him in the film sessions and on the field. And yeah, it's great for him to have those two guys.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up with JPP. I mean, no practice, no problem, which, I mean, I'm sure that's not maybe a part you want the rest of the team to decide on, that practicing isn't necessary.
Yeah.
But for him to be as injured as he's been, not practice all week, and then come in, couple sacks, force fumble, I feel like he's almost like Brady at this point where I lose the words to explain what he's doing. So try to give us the words.
He's a true warrior. I mean, there's very, very few guys that can do what he does and been through what he's been through and still go out there and play at that level. And it's like, we had a nice talk last week. It's like, he said, man, shoulder's killing me. I don't know. I said, look, just learn what to do. Get ready for Sunday. And that's going to probably be the plan for the rest of the year.
Yeah. And how is he able to, even with this big old club on his hand and a hurt shoulder, what is it either physically or mentally that he is still able to do to have that kind of success where that would be too much for most guys to overcome?
Yeah, I think that's just his history. He's got a resume that most players don't have. And when you have that kind of resume as a coach, it's easy for me. You just get ready for Sunday. We've got a couple of veteran guys like that. Practice is one thing, and you'll be prepared, I know that, and just get your body ready to go.
And earlier in the show, we talked about that next man up mentality, and I feel like Dee Delaney and Pierre Desir are just the embodiment of that phrase at this point. So Dee Delaney gets his first career start and his first career interception in a game, and then he goes down, and then Pierre Desir has to step up, and what does he do but get an interception? So take us through both of those interceptions and then both of those guys and what they bring.
Yeah, they're both, again, D has worked his tail off. He had a great camp, and it really showed on special teams, and he kind of started growing as a corner. Pierre's got a good resume, and but again, pressure on the quarterback caused both of them. It got right in his face, and he fires it real high, and all D had to do was catch it. Pierre did a great job of getting his head around. Again, pressure on it, so it's a little bit of an underthrow, and he's got that length. He goes up and gets it, and but both those guys can't say enough about coming in, finding a role, and then expanding that role.
Yeah, and we talked about the importance of that 6-1 start and how rare that is, and then to know you've done that with such a depleted defense at times. What does that say about the team overall?
Yeah, just again the roster, and then our pro personnel group of finding guys. I mean, we got Bleedy Ray Wilson in now, and I really like what I saw last week. And he's a veteran guy who's played a lot of ball. And he might have to step up this week. So we'll wait and see. We've 7 games, 7 different starting defensive backfields. So why not 8?
Yeah, why not? You don't want to get bored.
Exactly.
You like things being interesting as a coach. Well, we still have one more segment coming up here on the Bruce Arians Show. We are going to get into that Saints game. We'll be right back. Time for our final segment here on the Bruce Arians Show. Casey Phillips here with head coach Bruce Arians, now facing the Saints. Haven't had a lot of these division games yet, and we know how important these are going to be down the stretch. Tell us, I mean, it's not like you're unfamiliar with this team for a lot of reasons, but of course it's going to look very different with a Drew Brees-led Saints versus a Jameis Winston-led Saints. So with the experience with Jameis and what you know about him and what you've seen of who he is with the Saints, how will that change things facing them?
Well, it all starts with Alvin Kamara, and they're running the ball really, really well, and and their defense. The Saints they still have a great defense. Jameis is doing a really good job of managing the games for him and throwing the ball really, really well. And he's got a Galloway, this young receiver. They seem to have a hell of a connection, and but even if they get Michael Thomas back, I think Galloway's still the guy. But Alvin Kamara is the guy we have to stop. And
these last couple of weeks, you've gotten to face Hurts and then Fields, and it felt like Hurts was basically able to prepare you guys for Fields and the mobile quarterback, a similar vibe to them. Do you feel like now that helped even be more prepared for Jameis, where we know that's going to be different than Brees, who like to sit back there a little bit more?
Yeah, and Jameis is more of a pocket guy. He's not a read option guy. Those read option teams are a little bit different. You can play some different defenses for a pocket passer, and we've got to get after him, that's for sure. But it all starts with stopping and run.
How do you feel like you guys have been doing overall? We know that in the past hasn't been a huge area of strength, but I know this game you allowed it a little bit more than you would have liked to. Same thing with the Eagles, a little bit more than you would have liked to. So what do you see as needs to improve on the run defense?
Yeah, staying in our gaps, and we've been playing some 2-shell, which we tried to stop the run with 6, and that'll be tough to do, and that forces you into one-on-one coverages. So Todd will do a good job of mixing and matching and disguising his coverages, but we cannot get out of our gaps because Kamara will take it to the house.
Yeah, and as much as we're thrilled to have fans back in the stands this year, I think that the Saints road games is one area where that was kind of a nice little perk last year to take away a little bit of that big home field advantage they tend to have. So now that you know you're going back into the typical Superdome environment, what do you guys do to prepare for that and work on that this week?
Yeah, it's just the noise that we do every single week. You know, it's whether it's offense on the road, defense at home. But Halloween in New Orleans, second time I've been there, it's always fun, and so it's always a treat to look at the fans, and they have great fans anyway. So it'll be loud, it'll be raucous, and should be a hell of a game.
That's great. I love it. Well, thanks so much as always for joining us, and good luck this week against the Saints.
Thanks.